Ladies and gentlemen, picture this: a woman standing at the edge of a path that stretches far into the horizon. She takes a deep breath, knowing the road ahead will not be easy. There are no cheering crowds, no hands to hold, no companions to share her burden. Yet she begins her journey alone, with courage as her only guide and purpose lighting her way. This is the essence of the woman who walks alone. She embodies the power of solitude, the kind of power that doesn't come from others but is cultivated deep within. Imagine for a moment standing alone in the midst of nature with no one around you but the whispering wind and the rhythm of your own heartbeat. The world may seem distant, but in that distance you find a deep connection, one that is not tethered to another person, but to your own soul. This is the power of solitude. It's a power that is often misunderstood, a power that many shy away from, believing that to be alone is to be lonely. But solitude is not loneliness, it is an opportunity, a sacred space where we can rediscover who we truly are. In the hustle and bustle of our everyday lives, we often get caught in the noise, the voices of others, the demands of society, the expectations that shape us into something we are not. We wear the masks others expect us to wear, and in doing so, we lose sight of our own identity. But in solitude, there is no one to tell you who you should be. It is a blank canvas where you can paint your own picture. It is the silence where your true voice can be heard, where your heart can speak its deepest desires, and where your spirit can soar freely without the fear of judgment. When you walk alone, you are given the rare and beautiful gift of connection to yourself. It is in the stillness of solitude that you find clarity. The constant chatter of the world fades away, and in that space you can hear your own thoughts, feel your own emotions, and tap into your own wisdom. We often look to others for answers, but the truth is that all the answers we seek are already within us. The power of solitude is the realization that you do not need anyone else to complete you. You are already whole. But this is not an easy thing to accept. We live in a world that prizes connection and togetherness, often at the expense of individual reflection. Many fear being alone because they fear what they might discover about themselves. The truth, however, is that solitude is not something to fear, it is something to embrace. For it is only in being alone that we can truly face ourselves. It is in solitude that we confront our doubts, our fears, and our insecurities. And it is in that confrontation that we begin to heal. We begin to understand who we are, what we stand for, and what we are capable of achieving. Solitude allows us to process the emotions and experiences that shape us. It gives us the space to grieve, to reflect, and to grow. When we are alone, we are not distracted by the expectations of others or the chaos of the outside world. We can simply be. And it is in simply being that we allow ourselves to heal and to transform. The power of solitude is transformative. It allows us to turn inward, to focus on what truly matters, and to reconnect with our deepest desires and aspirations. It is only when we are truly alone that we can hear the whispers of our own soul, guiding us toward our true purpose. The woman who walks alone understands this truth. She knows that she must spend time in solitude to understand herself, to connect with her inner wisdom, and to cultivate the strength and resilience needed for her journey. So let us not fear the silence. Let us not dread the moments of solitude. For it is in those moments that we find the most profound connection, the connection to who we really are, and the connection to the power that resides within us all. When we walk alone, we are not lost. We are finding ourselves. The woman who walks alone understands something profound about life, that the truest expression of herself comes not from following the crowd, but from embracing her independence. There is a deep power in standing tall on your own, unshaken by the pull of society's expectations. Too often we look outward for validation, approval, and a sense of belonging. But the woman who walks alone knows that true belonging comes from within. She isn't afraid to carve her own path, even when it feels uncertain or unpopular. In fact, it's the courage to walk without a map that sets her apart. She doesn't wait for permission from others to be herself. She gives herself that permission. This freedom doesn't come without its challenges, of course. It means saying no when the world says yes, standing firm when others urge her to follow. But in every step, she becomes more and more aligned with her true essence. She understands that to be authentic is to be real with herself, to embrace both her strengths and her flaws, without fear of judgment. It's about being honest with who she is, what she believes, and what she values. The woman who walks alone doesn't dilute her identity to fit into someone else's version of success or happiness. She is willing to face the discomfort of standing out, knowing that the path to fulfillment is paved with the willingness to be unapologetically herself. This independence doesn't mean she is disconnected from others, but rather that she's able to connect with them from a place of wholeness. She has learned that only when she is whole can she truly offer something of value to the world around her. She no longer seeks external approval. because she has found the approval she needs from within. And in doing so, she inspires others to do the same. To walk alone is to refuse to be a copy of someone else's dream. It is to choose to create your own destiny with the courage to be vulnerable, to fail, and to rise again. The woman who walks alone doesn't fear the unknown because she knows that in the unknown she will find herself. She is not looking for a crowd to follow, but for the internal compass that will guide her toward the life she is meant to live. And in that process, she becomes a living testament to the transformative power, authenticity, and independence. The fear of isolation is a powerful force. It creeps into our minds, whispering that we are not enough, that we need others to validate our worth, and that without companionship we are lost. Yet for the woman who walks alone, this fear becomes the very thing she learns to transcend. She understands that isolation is not her enemy, but a gateway to profound self-discovery. In the silence of her own company, she confronts the deepest parts of herself. It is here, in the solitude, that she faces her insecurities, her doubts, and her fears head-on. The world can be loud and overwhelming, full of voices that attempt to shape who we are, but when she stands alone, she finds a space that is entirely her own, a space where she can be unapologetically herself, unburdened by the judgments and expectations of others. Isolation is often feared because it is associated with emptiness, but in truth, it is where we find the fullness of our being. The woman who walks alone does not fear the silence, she embraces it. In those quiet moments, she hears her inner voice more clearly. She is no longer distracted by the noise around her, and in the stillness, she can finally listen to her own heart, her own desires, and her own purpose. There is strength in learning to be with yourself. It takes courage to be vulnerable, to sit with the discomfort that may arise when you are left alone with your thoughts. But in this discomfort, there is growth. Each moment of solitude is a lesson in resilience, a lesson in trusting yourself to navigate the world without relying on others to tell you who you are or what you should do. The fear of isolation begins to dissolve as she realizes that loneliness is not a reflection of her inadequacy, but a mirror showing her capacity for inner strength. It is a space where she can heal, where she can reflect, and where she can rediscover her true power. The more she learns to walk alone, the less she fears the solitude. She begins to see it as an opportunity, a gift that allows her to reconnect with herself and rediscover her own worth. In walking alone, she creates a sanctuary within herself. She finds peace in her own presence. She no longer seeks external validation because she has learned to validate herself. She understands that true connection starts from within, and once she is whole on her own, she no longer fears being alone. Instead, she welcomes it, becomes a source of strength, a space where she can truly understand who she is and what she stands for. The woman who walks alone is not a prisoner of isolation, she is the creator of her own freedom. She has learned that to stand alone does not mean she is weak, but that she is strong enough to stand without the need for others to prop her up. She is enough, all by herself. And in this realization, the fear of isolation fades away, replaced by the quiet confidence that comes from knowing she can walk her path alone, and in doing so, she finds her true self. Resilience in the face of challenges is not simply about enduring hardship. It's about how we choose to rise after every fall, how we continue to move forward, even when the path ahead seems obscured by obstacles. The woman who walks alone knows this truth intimately. She's no stranger to the weight of disappointment or the sting of failure. In fact, she's been acquainted with them for much of her journey, yet she never allows them to define her. Instead, she lets them refine her. Every setback, every moment of struggle becomes a stepping stone to something greater. Imagine the countless moments when doubt crept in, when the world seemed to turn its back on her and every voice around her seemed to shout, "You can't do it." It's in those moments, but it was the ones where the weight of the world feels almost unbearable, that her true strength shines through. She doesn't surrender to despair. She doesn't cower under the pressure. She leans in. She finds strength in her vulnerability, discovering that every challenge carries within it the seed of her growth. She knows that the human spirit, when pushed to its limits, has the incredible ability to rise, adapt, and conquer. It is in these crucibles of hardship that our most powerful transformations take place. The resilience of the woman who walks alone comes not from an absence of fear or pain, but from her ability to embrace both, knowing that they are temporary companions on a much longer journey. She doesn't avoid the difficulties, she walks right through them. She may stumble, she may falter, but she never allows herself to be broken. Each time she falls, she gets back up with more strength than before, as though the very act of rising is what makes her unshakable. She understands that resilience is not about avoiding the storm. It's about learning to dance in the rain, It's about finding grace in the struggle, understanding that every hardship carries with it the potential for personal growth. The woman who walks alone doesn't see obstacles as roadblocks, but as invitations inviting her to test her limits, to stretch her capabilities, and to rediscover the depths of her own power. With each challenge she faces, she sheds the old layers of doubt and fear and emerges more confident, more determined, and more aligned with her purpose. This is the beauty of resilience. It's the quiet strength that builds over time, forged in the fires of adversity. And while the world may never see the full extent of the battle she's fought, she knows. She knows that she is more than what's visible. She is the sum of every challenge she's faced and overcome, the embodiment of the lessons learned through each trial. With every obstacle she conquers, she not only grows stronger but more compassionate, for she understands that others too are walking their own difficult roads. It is this empathy that makes her resilience contagious, for she becomes a living example of what is possible when we refuse to be defeated by life's hardships. In this journey of resilience, the woman who walks alone teaches us a vital lesson that true strength is not about avoiding struggle, but about embracing it and learning from it. It's about knowing that no matter how difficult the road may get, there is always an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to rise again. The woman who walks alone possesses a vision beyond conformity, a vision that dares to see beyond the limits others impose upon themselves. When she steps away from the crowd, she isn't running from society, she's stepping into a space where her true potential can unfold, untethered by the boundaries of conventional thinking. She refuses to allow the weight of societal expectations to crush her dreams or dictate the choices she makes. In doing so, she discovers a clarity of purpose that most will never know because they are too busy chasing someone else's idea of success. While others follow trends and mimic the behaviors of those around them, she remains steadfast in her commitment to herself. She understands that true fulfillment is not found in blending in, but in standing tall and unique in the face of conformity. It takes courage to look beyond the ordinary, to see the world not as it is, but as it could be. She dares to imagine a life that aligns with her deepest desires, a life that isn't dictated by what is popular, but by what resonates with her soul. And in that vision, she sees the limitless possibilities of what she can create, accomplish, and become. What makes her different is not just her ability to envision a different path, but the unwavering belief that she is worthy of that path. Where others see obstacles, she sees opportunities. Where others see failure, she sees growth. In the face of doubts and setbacks, her vision does not waver. It only becomes clearer. And it is in that clarity that she finds her power, because her vision is not just a dream, it is a directive. It is a directive. It is a call to action, compelling her to rise above the noise of the world and chart her own course. To walk alone is not to be isolated, it is to become an architect of one's own future, constructing a life that aligns with the deepest calling within. And the woman who dares to walk alone, with a vision unshaken by the standards of others, becomes a trailblazer. She lights the way for others who, too, feel the stirrings of something greater within them, but who may have been too afraid to step outside the lines. In every decision she makes, she demonstrates that freedom isn't the absence of responsibility, it is the courage to follow your own compass. And as she continues down her path, others begin to notice. They see the way her life is unfolding with intention and purpose, and they begin to wonder if they too can create their own vision free from the constraints of the conventional world. She becomes not only an example of what is possible, but a living testament to the fact that greatness comes from having the courage to think differently, to walk alone, and to see the world not through the lens of what is, but through the lens of what is, but through the lens of what could be. The vision she holds is not just for her, it's for all those who dare to dream beyond the confines of what society has set before them. It is a vision that inspires others to embrace their uniqueness, to trust in their own abilities, and to believe that their lives can be as extraordinary as they dare to imagine. And so, the woman who walks alone becomes a beacon of hope, a symbol of what can be achieved when one refuses to conform and instead chooses to live a life true to their own calling. When a woman walks alone, she does more than simply carve her own path. She becomes a beacon of light for others who feel lost in the darkness of their own uncertainty. The journey of walking alone is not one that's defined by solitude in a negative sense, but rather it's about choosing a route that may be less traveled, yet rich with meaning and purpose. And in this pursuit, she becomes a silent teacher, showing others that it's not only possible to stand on your own, but that it's sometimes essential for growth. As she walks, she may not even realize it, but there are eyes watching her, hearts feeling her every step. The woman who walks alone is the living proof that it's possible to trust yourself in a world full of distractions. She is the embodiment of courage in action, and this inspires others whether they are aware of it or not. It's easy to see others who are surrounded by the support of family, friends, and followers and feel that walking alone is a sign of weakness. But the woman who walks alone shatters this misconception, showing that walking alone is the ultimate expression of strength. It takes immense courage to choose your own way when the world constantly pushes you to follow the herd. As she continues down her path, she may encounter others who are lost, unsure of where to go or what direction to take. But in her presence, they see the possibility of their own strength. It's not the things she says or the advice she gives that makes a difference. It's the simple act of living authentically, of remaining true to herself, even when it's inconvenient, even when the world tells her to conform. There is power in leading by example. Sometimes simply seeing someone else walk with conviction is all it takes for others to begin walking with their own. Her journey becomes an invitation to others who have been afraid to step into the unknown, to take a step of their own. She may never know how many lives she touches, how many people find the courage to stand up because they saw her stand tall. But that's the beauty of walking alone. You don't need validation or applause to make an impact. The truth is, the woman who walks alone doesn't just inspire those around her, she leaves behind a trail of transformation for those who follow. The ripples of her courage spread far beyond what she can see, and in those ripples, others find the strength they need to step into their own power. She leads not through words, but through actions, through the courage to remain steadfast in her journey, even when it's difficult. People are drawn to her, not because she's seeking attention, but because her very presence radiates a quiet confidence that others yearn for. The woman who walks alone becomes a living testament to what's possible when you choose to trust in your own voice, even when the world around you remains silent. Her journey teaches others that they too are capable of walking alone, that their dreams and their purpose are worthy of their own dedication. Through her silent strength, she empowers those who might have otherwise doubted themselves to take that first step toward their own independence. She may not always see the seeds she plants, but rest assured they grow. And as others look upon her journey, they realize that the first step toward any transformation is to simply begin to trust the journey, to have faith in themselves, and to walk boldly knowing they are never truly alone, as long as they carry their own truth within. In the end, the woman who walks alone does not simply change her own life, she ignites a spark in others, lighting the way for those who dare to follow. She teaches us that the path to self-discovery, purpose, and strength is often one that requires solitude, but that solitude is never a sign of weakness. It is the birthplace of authenticity, resilience, and courage. By choosing to walk alone, she shows us that we all have the power to trust ourselves, to stand firm in our truth, and to inspire others to do the same. So let us celebrate the woman who walks alone, not with pity, but with reverence. Let us acknowledge that her journey is not a solitary one, but a powerful testament to the strength that resides with each of us. For when we dare to walk alone, we become living proof that our greatest power lies in our ability to walk our own path with confidence. And in doing so, we invite others to walk with us. The journey may be long, but it is always worth it, for in every step we find the courage to inspire and to transform. Thank you.